Good evening, YouTubers. T Square Talk. Hope everybody's having a great day. Got a great video planned out for you guys. I kind of want to talk a little bit about gold and silver today, but I also want to talk a little bit more about the markets. Kind of build up a little bit on what we kind of talked about yesterday when we seen that huge rally in the stock market and in pretty much everything. And a lot of people had this belief that the problem was over. Everything was already fixed. And, you see a rally like this and it's easy to believe that. But I kind of wanted to elaborate a little bit more about the unsustainability of that and talk a little bit more about how we saw today that it ain't over. In fact, it's far from over. And also want to talk a little bit about the precious metals because what happened with gold today, which is pretty phenomenal. Gold hitting another new all-time high as we're now trading at $3,211. We were actually even higher than that earlier as we did get up to roughly 3,220. And I think it's inevitable that we're only going to go higher and higher. A lot of people wanted to call me a pump and dumper. I don't know why, because I wasn't selling nothing. I found it funny. But we're going to get into gold, silver, and the markets today. This is not financial advice, nor should it be considered as such. It's more my opinion. And some people listen, some people don't. And if you do, great. If you don't, I thank you for stopping in and watching anyway for a few minutes. With that being said, if you enjoyed today's video, please hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. And lately we've been doing a lot of videos on gold and silver because it is a very hot topic right now. We talk a lot about prepping, homesteading, a lot of different stuff, but gold and silver is the hot item right now because I think it's important that people realize what's happening to their money. And once they understand what's actually happening to their money, then they can try to get in front of what's happening instead of getting rolled over under it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I thank you all for watching. A special thank you goes out to our members. Most likely we will be doing some sort of a members event this weekend involving some free silver. And it's only $1.99 to become a member, and that probably won't even count as our big free silver event for our members, which will probably happen in another week. But I had a lot of people ask me that they missed out on the $50 rolls and kind of wanted to take a stab at it, and so I said we'll probably do it again this weekend sometime. I don't know when, but it's coming. Moving on right off the bat, I want to take a quick, in fact, I want to talk about gold first today. And the reason I want to talk about gold first is gold is funny when you look at it right now. We're seeing a lot of people flood into gold. In fact, when you look at the gold chart, like I had done a video a little while back, when gold first hit 2,000, it took roughly 3 years, roughly. It went from roughly 2020. And it took all the way up until late 23, so about 3 years before we went from $2,000 to $2,100. So that $100 increase took a while. And that's really good in a way. I mean, I'm still happy even with that kind of a jump. But what I want people to understand is when it hit 3,000, it took 2 weeks to hit 3,100. And then when it hit 3,100, it didn't even take a week and a half. So we're seeing this escalate and accelerate, I should say, into higher and higher numbers. And that's why we're seeing higher and higher numbers on the price of gold and silver. Now, what I want people to understand is it doesn't take much to see a big jump now. I mean, look at this, 1%. And we're up 35 bucks almost. Once you realize what's actually happening, then you understand that the prices are going to continue to start to go parabolic, really. And why is that? Because as that price continues to climb, a 1% gain is just going to be more and more money. I had someone explain it to me with silver. He said, when silver was $15 and you get a 10% climb, that's $1.50. But when silver's sitting at $30 and you get a 10% climb, that's a $3 jump in one day. So it ain't going to take long, really, before we see $3,300 silver. And as that continues to climb and puts us closer and closer to $4,000, which I do believe we will see $4,000. I think my prediction was $4,000. I would not even be surprised to see $4,500 by the end of the year. Now, $4,500, that may seem like a big gain for a lot of people, but we're not talking astronomical. And as it continues to climb up in price, 1 ounce gold coins are going to be a thing of the past. The average person now is having a hard time buying a 1 ounce gold coin. A lot of people can't afford it. They're moving down to the half ounce, the quarter ounce, the 10th ounce. And, it's kind of funny. I actually picked up my first ever 1/20th ounces not too long ago in a previous package opening that I did. And I think that will be the new norm because a lot of people can afford, $160, $170 for that. So we'll see how that continues to play out. It's definitely exciting as gold does continue to go higher and higher. And we'll see what happens. Jumping over now, though, taking a quick look at silver. Silver, I'll be honest, it's not where it was. It's not even where it was in the beginning of the drop. This drop happened last week. We were up to $34.50. And then it plunged all the way down to 28 and a quarter roughly. It's hard to see it on this chart, but because it was a real quick drop and then it was an instant flash jump back up to the 29 range. But now we're at $31.30 roughly. And I would not be surprised to see it continue to escalate. I know a couple people asked me, are you planning on putting in some big orders anytime soon? So I went kind of overboard recently buying. So it's kind of tough for me until my money resets to pick up anything new unless I really strap myself. I even bought extra on credit because, I was a firm believer that we're going to see it go higher. Now, all this is, like I say, is just my opinion. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. Nobody does. But the proof is in the pudding. That's the old saying they used to say, and it makes sense. We're continuing to see it go higher and higher. It's just a matter of time before silver has to have a big move up to kind of offset that gold-silver ratio. You take a look at the gold right now at $3,200, and let me pull up a calculator here. Clear 3210 times, let's see, I'm sorry, I said times, divide by, can I still hit it without retyping it? Okay, yeah, divide by $31.30. Make sure I'm doing that right. You've got over 102 now gold silver ratio. And a lot of people think that this can just go up indefinitely. Gold can keep going up and silver doesn't have to go up. But you have to understand that's not a guarantee. That's not a guarantee that we won't see silver go up because someone says that. And they've been talking smack about silver for years now. And if you had listened to them, you probably would have sold when it hit 20 and you never would have gotten it back. Or you would have sold when it hit 25 and you never would have been able to buy it back. Because the truth of the matter is we are seeing it climb. When you zoom out, 5 years ago, silver was $14. Now, I know some people are going to say, oh, it only doubled. That's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing when you look at hindsight on something like Bitcoin. But, right now, when you look at Bitcoin, where is Bitcoin right now? Taking a look at Bitcoin today, it looks like it's up 1.5%. You take a look at, am I even looking at the right chart? What the heck? Why is that not refreshing? Give me a quick second here. Because when I looked at that earlier, it was showing down. It's showing it up a little bit, but that's kind of crazy because it could have a lot to do, too, when you start seeing the moves. Today, everything looks like it's in the green. But that hasn't been, as we've been doing videos on this for a while, we haven't really been seeing much on Bitcoin. We're starting to see it trend down. The only reason it had this huge trend up was because this was the build up to the election and everybody's saying, oh, Donald Trump and the U.S. is going to do a Bitcoin strategic stockpile reserve and we're going to sell our gold and buy Bitcoin. You heard all this nonsense coming out of it and we never seen it. We never seen any of that transpire. And yeah, they might still be looking into it, but at what point do people realize this could be it? I mean, they played their cards, and now we're not really seeing as much from it. We're starting to see it trickle down. And I'll be honest, I can understand where people are when they say digital gold, although I wouldn't say it's digital gold. I would say it's definitely not being debased like the dollar, but I certainly would not want to have money tied up into it, because a lot of people that I talk to tell me they want to get out, but they're kind of stuck because they're seeing it come down. And let's be honest, this drop is no joke. When we were up to almost 110K and now we're down 30K, that just goes to show the volatility. And a lot of people understand there's huge volatility in this. However, jumping around and onto another thing, I want to take a quick look at the dollar index. So this is actually a chart that I kind of took away for a while, and I haven't talked about this in a little while. We're seeing the DXY start to slowly go lower. And when you look at this over, we'll say 5 days, you start to see that it is going lower. And as this continues to go lower, I know some people will say it doesn't really matter, but in a way it does matter. It matters to a lot of people's perception of the dollar. If that goes lower, people start losing faith in the dollar. They believe the dollar is losing value. Now, those of us that are stackers understand the dollar is continuing to lose value day after day. And once you realize that, you understand you want something else like precious metals. And in my opinion, precious metals is the safe haven. Now, obviously, with the dollar going down, precious metals go up more. Even though right now we also have a lot of buying, but some people will translate the lower value of the dollar to the higher price in precious metals. But a lot of it does have to do with people buying more of it right now because of essentially the uncertainty in the economy. And you can clearly see the uncertainty in the economy when you take a look at the stock market right now. You know, yesterday we had a 3,000 point jump, and now we're seeing a 1,000-point drop. We literally almost went up 10% on the Dow Jones yesterday, and now we're down 1,000 points today. What does that say about volatility? It says that everything is crazy, and people really are stuck right now not knowing what to do because nobody wants to sell. Because if you miss a day like yesterday, that seems like, oh my word, I can't afford to miss a huge jump like that. But the truth of the matter is that's how they keep people in, I believe. They show you those big jumps, but then you get days like this where you drop 1,000, 700, another 1,000, another 1,000, and then they give you a 2,000 point jump, and you think, oh wow, all right, it's up 2,000 points today, everything's great, and they talk about it on the news, kind of like what we've seen with gold and silver. You know, you see a big crash in gold and silver, and all of a sudden they want to plaster the news articles out there everywhere that gold and silver pulling back, it's a horrible investment, people are foolish to even buy it. But the truth of the matter is gold and silver has been a safe haven asset since the beginning of time, and it probably will continue to be, in my personal opinion. Taking a quick look, too, it's not just the Dow Jones. Taking a quick look at the NASDAQ, you got the NASDAQ down 4.33% today, down 737 points. When you zoom out a 5-day chart, a month chart, you know, yeah, we've seen this big drop. We've seen a little bit of a jump up, and now it's already giving it back. So I personally just like gold and silver right now, and that's it. Moving on, S&P 500 down 3.5%, or down 188 points. A lot of people like that chart because that does have to do with people's 401ks and stuff. A new one that I just popped up just today, only because I had a friend talking to me, and he's like, you know, since Trump came in, I've been destroyed on my investments. And I said, well, what do you invest in? And he said he actually invested in this right here, the SPDR, S&P ETF trust, whatever. I don't really know a whole lot about what's in it. I just wanted to pull it up, and I was like, I mean, it's down, but everything is down. And I said, so what are you going to do? He said, well, obviously all I can do is just, you know, keep putting money in. I can't take out because it's part of my retirement. And if I take it out, then essentially I'll have to pay big fees. And that's one of the tricks I believe they use to keep people locked in. And that's another reason why I like gold and silver. If I want to sell some gold and silver, it's not the end of the world. I mean, yes, When you sell gold and silver, you're supposed to pay capital gains tax if you make a profit, but I'm not really taking any bigger of a hit than I would be taking on anything else. You pay your taxes when you make money, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I am saying that's what they expect. There are people out there that, they need an extra $200. They might turn around and sell some ounces of silver, get their money, and then pay their bill, and then just go right back in stacking. And the people that do that, I hear people always say, yeah, but you take a hit on the premiums. To a certain point, yes, you do, if you're selling on a regular basis. But gold and silver, in my opinion, it's meant to be a savings account. It's meant to be saved for the long term. And if you're buying right, you don't have to take a hit. I actually got an email yesterday from one subscriber saying he absolutely loves buying the proof sets, which we talked about recently in a previous video, the silver proof sets. He likes them because he's getting them so close to spot. He's getting them under junk silver prices, what people are selling old beat up quarters and old beat up dimes for. He's getting them cheaper than that. And he's able to pick up more silver for about the same amount of money. And what would you rather have, a beat up Washington quarter or a nice proof silver state quarter? So once you realize that, it's an opportunity to get even more silver. And I was super excited to see that email because I was like, man, he really gets it. He does understand it. And once you understand, you start buying even more of them. And, those are the little, it's got the the silver $50, the silver quarter, silver dime, and then it has a nickel, a penny, and a dollar. And a lot of times people tell me, well, I don't want to buy the nickel, the penny, and the dollar. You're not really buying it. You're basically paying that extra nickel, penny, and dollar for it. And you can always bust the set open, pull out the silver, and cash that stuff in and go spend it. And then I always get the response of, well, why would I want to bust it open? And my opinion is you wouldn't. I'm just saying you could. And you would have came out with more silver in the end because it takes $1.40 in constitutional silver to equal 1 ounce of silver. Now, that doesn't matter if you've got 6 silver state quarters or 4 silver state quarters and 4 current day silver dimes. I actually had that debate with someone the other day. I was like, did they make silver proof sets? How far back did they make them? And we ended up spending a little while looking it up, trying to get the correct answer. I didn't realize that before 99 they were actually making silver proof sets, but they were. So there's a lot of opportunity for these sets. Now, unfortunately, they made tons of these sets. The silver state quarters, there's a lot of them out there. And so a lot of people don't like them because they associate it with the state quarter, but they're missing the biggest picture, which is it's silver. And if you can get silver close to spot or melt value, you're doing really, really good. So with that being said, it's kind of a quick video today. I knew it would be. I've got a lot to do. I'm still remodeling my kitchen, and I'm trying to kind of keep up with the comments, but I'm extremely slipping behind. So if you're a member and I haven't replied to your comment in a day or two, don't think that it's just you. It's just I am just getting overwhelmed with comments, emails, making the videos, and then on top of that, trying to get my kitchen remodeled before it gets too hot. And with that being said, I'm going to wrap up here, but I thank everybody for watching. I urge you to check out some of these other great videos. Don't panic if we see some sort of a dip in silver or some sort of a dip in gold. I mean, we're continuing to go higher and higher. At some point, this line can't keep going up straight forever. I would expect it would have to have some sort of a consolidation pattern, kind of like you see here, but how long would it last? I don't know that. When you look at the, well, actually it's on the all right now. When you look at the all, we've seen extreme jumps and extreme pullbacks, and I don't think we're at that point yet. When you take a look at silver, you can clearly see we're not at that point. I mean, we're not even at the all-time high on silver, which was, $50 or so. When it starts going parabolic straight up like this, well, now we've got some excitement on silver. And if the gold to silver ratio did plunge too much, I mean, if I see 60-1, I'll be trading some of my silver. Not all, but I'll be trading some, lighten my load a little bit, pick up a little more gold, and then, continue on as usual. Some people ask me, what is the big number? So my rule of thumb is if I see 60 to 1, I'm going to trade some. I see 50 to 1, 40 to 1, I'll trade some more. I see 30 to 1, I'll trade more. If I see 20 to 1, I would be tempted to trade a good majority of what I have left at 20 to 1 because we don't see 20 to 1 that often. So with that being said, I hope you all have a great day. I hope you hit the thumbs up button, and I hope you checked out some of these other great videos. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys again next time on T-Square Talk. We do videos every day of the week. We usually do a short video every evening, so you can check out some of them short videos. It's good information consolidated in a small little video, and so just it's good to follow everything. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys again next time on T-Square Talk. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.